Welcome to another episode of Women Investing in Women. Robin and I take great joy and tremendous honor to week after week feature different women from different walks of life with different life experiences so that we can celebrate every woman, showcase her journey, and talk about how she has been lifted up and how she is lifting others up in her community. Because we fully understand, Robin and I, the only way we bring about change is caring, compassionate, empathetic women embodying grace, coming together and showing the world how it's done. When we look different, when we sound different, on paper we look different. If everything about it is about us is so very different, and yet we come together for the common purpose of building a better future that is loving, kind, nurturing, and covered in grace for one another. That is the only way we're going to bring about lasting change. And it's only together we as women can change our collective future so that we can go further and make a larger impact. And it's always going to be done only together. Take it away, Robin.
Right. I am really delighted to introduce Rebecca now and Dr. Marty Casey. And I always have my antenna up looking for women that we can invite to be on our program. And I heard about this book, In Your Power, and written by women for women. And this was brought together by Rebecca and Marty. And so I reached out to them, was able to find them, and I realized I've only said part of the book, but I'm so thrilled to have you. And this was a book bringing very overtly and specifically bringing together a person of color and then a person, a Black person and a white person, and bringing their voices together to heal their community. And so, Dr. Casey, go ahead and take it away and tell us, how did this adventure begin, and the title of the book and how this adventure began, and a little bit about your journey, and then we'll hear from Rebecca.
Well, first of all, would like to say thank you so much for having us. What an honor and a pleasure it is to be here to gather with other professional and dynamic women, because that's what this is all about. Just connecting and spreading our voices as far and wide as we possibly can. Because as women, we have been through some things. It's called life. And when you have gone through some things in life, and you know that there are other women that possibly may come along and experience some of those similar things, how can we help them to be better? How can we help them to be better from a place where they don't necessarily have to go through A through Z of those things that we've experienced? And so, in her power, in her wisdom, this is a women's guide to overcoming challenges and growing in their power. So that's what this book is all about. And Rebecca and I, we have been friends for several years, and we have always talked about what can we do to help to heal our city. We happen to be from St. Louis, Missouri, and those who may be aware, 10 years ago, there was a there was a situation that happened, a community breakdown with the unrest of Ferguson that took place in our city. And we saw where the divide had gotten thicker, if you will. And when you talk about community violence or healing from anything that's taken place in the community, it takes everyone coming together to get on the same page to say, enough is enough. Let's do this now. So Rebecca and I have always been the type of women, Black and white, to say, what can we do? And I love it because I think it was on my birthday, if I'm not mistaken, she'll correct me later, but she said, well, Marty, let's do a book. an anthology with women, and we bring in all of these different women to tell their stories. I said, that's it. So it took us over a year to really pull this together, because we were very intentional about the type of stories we wanted to be told. We were very intentional about the women to be a part of this. We wanted to be of diversity. And we were also very intentional of the timing. And it could not have been any perfect timing than for this to come out now, when you look at what's happening in history right now of women taking the lead. And so we're just excited to be here. And I'm going to now turn it over to Rebecca to add to that. You're on mute, Rebecca. We can only hear your power if you come off of mute.
Yeah. And we can cut this part out because Cass edits things. If you tap the top of your phone, then your unmute and video will show up at the bottom of your phone. And that's how you unmute it.
Tap the top. I didn't know she was on her phone. I thought she was on her computer.
Yeah, she was. I think she came back on her phone. When she first came on today, she said she's having trouble with her camera.
I think I got it. Okay, I am so sorry.
No
For
worries.
some reason, my
We'll-
laptop is not liking Zoom.
We're gonna
So I
edit this
apologize.
out. We're gonna edit this portion out. So Rebecca, before you talk, just give a 5-second pause and start, and that'll give us a place to splice and edit.
Okay, that sounds great. So yes, as Marty said, we came together to create change and to do something meaningful in our community that would bring women together, because united, we are more powerful than just trying to do things by ourselves or doing it in a silo, which can be the case in our city and in many communities where people just group together. We wanted to bridge that gap. We've taken a lot of photos of Marty and I on a bridge meeting, and that's what this book is doing. It's a bridge between communities, and we're going to heal our community of St. Louis, and that's a first step to healing globally.
Thank you so much, Dr. Casey and Rebecca. This has been such an amazing introduction to understand and get to know why you did this and what the purpose is. And it truly resonates for me. The question that comes up for me is, as you went through this journey of bringing different women together and sharing their journeys about how they were able to harness their power, and how collectively the shared wisdom and what you bring through to life is going to enhance everybody in the community. What did you each learn about yourself and the women who took this journey with you? Because you can't do this and not be transformed.
Absolutely. You know, that's interesting that you would even put that in that form, because what I do for a living, if you will, helping others to disarm from trauma, I talk about that there is actually, there's a rhythm to it. You have to start with self, and then you have basically infect your family, and then it infects community. And that is the way that we did this. We wanted women to be reflective, to look at self and to see, what do you need to heal, or what did you heal to help you gain your power, to help you gain your wisdom? And then how has that been transformed to affecting your family and then inside of community? And these stories, when they came forth, I have to just say, I was in shock myself after reading them, because I saw a lot of overlap. There was a lot of overlap in the stories, and none of us knew what anyone was going to write about specifically, but we gave them at least that part of that. We need this to be about you. Start with self. And then we know that the story, as it is being told, trauma is transferable, and so is healing. So as it transfers, it will heal community if you are honest about what it is you've gone through. And that's what we got out of it. And gosh, I'm telling you, this is a book of medicine.
Boy, well said, Marty. Very well said. I quite agree. It was amazing. It was an amazing journey. And for me, it was quite difficult. Being in a book did not appeal to every woman. But when I started reading those chapters and realizing how much wisdom is brought forth by individual voices. And then when we had a meeting of all the authors, we kind of celebrated the launch together. And that was such a meaningful moment for all of us to come together. And it was in a very, very special setting called the Del Mar Divine. And those of us in St. Louis know that our city has been divided into racial areas for over a century. And to bring us together in this place that is on the border, that is reconvened and redeveloped as a place to bring communities together, and we bring in our 23 authors and their friends and family. It was just amazing to be in that space. So,
Can I add to that, Rebecca? As Rebecca just shared, that it's called Del Mar Divine, but we know it as Del Mar Divide.
so
So
she
the
was
person that
renamed
owns
the
it, yeah,
woman
she
who,
renamed, yeah, because the Del Mar Divide was actually not a place, but it's the energy of what was felt in our city from north to south. If you get on the north side of this particular street, this is where most of the Blacks lived, and you could clearly see a shift in the financial resources, to the buildings and how things were being upkept, and where the money was being spent. And on the south side, it was more affluent, and just you could clearly see the difference, and you felt the difference. And so there is someone, if you may be you may know her as Maxine Clark, who is the founder of Build-A-Bear. And she actually did our forward, and she's the owner of Del Mar Divine, where she's taken an old hospital and reconstructed it. And now it's full of individuals who run businesses, and they 501c3s, and come in, and they're working together all across the city, serving our city. And so it's just it's remarkable that she said yes to doing the forward for our book, and she's friends with both of us.
yeah.
That's really beautiful. I'm just so impressed with everything that I've heard so far. What's coming to a question for me is, how did you go about finding these women? And was it somewhat self-selective, where you said, hey, we want to write this book and come forward with your story? Or did you already know people that you wanted to approach? Or how did you go about collecting these women, knowing that you want to have a book that is balanced along a number of levels? So I'm curious to hear how you'd even go about finding these women.
Go ahead, Rebecca.
Well, one of the ways we started is Marty and I did not meet at this one organization in St. Louis called Gateway to Dreams, but we ran into each other at a networking center that empowers women, and they had a group called Celebrating and Promoting Women. And there was a monthly meeting. And so that's how Marty and I deepened our relationship and became friends. I had seen her perform many times, but I was an audience member and she was on stage. But we started there with our mutual friend that really brought Marty K, Casey, and I together, and that was Karen Hoffman. And she is the founder of Gateway to Dreams and Celebrating Promoting Women. And she really helped us connect with all kinds of people. And then Marty and I delved into our circles of people that we know. I was a former Toastmaster and brought in two of my former folks. My experience as a Chamber of Commerce director brought me in contact with all kinds of women of all backgrounds. And we just basically started one at a time curating who we wanted in the book.
We did. And I just want to just add this quick little thing to piggyback off of what Rebecca just said. Rebecca and I didn't realize how much we had in common until we decided to come together to do this. She and I graduated from the same high school. We're a few years apart, but we graduated from the same high school. And there's another author in there who also graduated from that same high school. But had we not decided to do this piece, we would not have been able to dig deeper and find out how much we had in common. Because so many times we as women, can I just say humanity, what we do as humans, we see each other first. And that's where we begin to separate ourselves. Because if I see you and I don't see you culturally and fitting with who I am or who I believe to be, or, then I put separation there. Where we're the opposite. When we see that we're different, I lean in more to find out, where are we the same? Where some people bag up, I lean in. And in leaning in and connecting closer to Rebecca, we both perform on stage. We both have political influence. We both just love our city to pieces. And we both are from the same high school, and we have so much in common. We even like the same foods. We we enjoy each other's company. So to say that Black and white, that's the furthest from who we are as individuals, because when we come together, we're sisters.
We are. Very well said, Marty.
Absolutely beautiful to hear you ladies talk about this. I come from the South Asian Hindu tradition, and we greet each other this way, Vanakkam or Namaste. And literally, what that means is the love, light, and truth inside of me sees the love, light, and truth inside of you, and the divine within me is the divine inside of you. And at that point of recognition, we are one. So it's not sorry, it's not thank you. It has a very, very deep meaning. And that is exactly what you're articulating from a Western tradition. The wrappings don't matter, because underneath the wrapping, we're all the same. And when we go through trauma and when we find our power, because as women, we have the power, our power comes from the nurturing and healing energy. And from that comes wisdom, right? So everything I'm hearing from you is resonating for me in a very, very beautiful way. What advice do you have for young girls who are growing up in this very complicated, confusing time where everything is so divisive and so divided? What advice would you have as wise women who've lived through so much for younger girls?
Well, I guess I'm a believer in face-to-face, in-personal connections. And you got to find your tribe. And if a young woman grows up in a toxic family environment, you've got to find a tribe that will uplift you. And keep going until you find that tribe, and don't give up until you find the friends, the therapist, the supportive community you need. It is key. And one of the best ways to build your confidence and create a tribe is Toastmasters. If someone is shy, it gives them power and the ability to speak their mind. But that's what I would tell a young person.
Well, I work with young people very, very often. And the one thing that I share with them, I remind them of what it was for me. I remember being in high school, and you feel like this is your moment, like in life, like this, it doesn't get any bigger and better than where you are in that moment of high school. And I tell them, you won't even see these people again, probably ever in life after you graduate. And so when you get stuck on feeling like this person is disappointed in you today, or they're no longer wanting to be your friend, and you feel like you hung your hat on that whole relationship of your life is based off of the relationship you're building with that one person. They may not ever be a part of your life after you graduate. And so the whole world is big. It's like a smorgasbord. If you taste something on that smorgasbord that you don't like, you don't have to go back and get seconds. Go try something new. So don't get stuck in the moment. Know that there's going to be another moment to come after that if you keep going. So that's, to me, that's like the greatest lesson that I think our young people, one of the greatest lessons that our young people can really take heed to. And that is, you get to create whatever it is you want in life as long as you keep going. Don't get stuck. Don't get stuck.
I'm wondering, in addition to, the young women that Cass so beautifully brought into the picture, what have been some of the broad lessons or the broad themes that you found emerging within these women's stories, that as young women or older women, read the book, learn about the women in your community? What are some of the broad lessons and broad themes that you find so uplifting and so empowering?
I couldn't believe how many losses there were. There were a lot of losses. And those who there have been losses from their parents. There were a lot of loss even in relationship. There was a lot of physical healing and mental healing had taken place. There was just so many things that was overlap. Like I speak about one of the pieces or parts that I talk about in my chapter is when I was 8 years old, and I actually found my mother face down where she attempted a suicide. And then I was reading in a couple of other chapters that they had dealt with a similar thing from a different member of their family, but it still was trying to overcome what that feels like, of the loss of losing someone. Now, my mother, you know, I'm so grateful that she is still alive today. My mother is here, and their loved one, they unalive themselves. But what I'm getting at is that we are now able to embrace each other and understand. I can add, some value to what I know that they experience, and they can help me to heal and through that piece, because it's that's some horrific things in life you can't prepare yourself for. And I want to say one more thing about this book, and this is not a part of the question that you asked, but I do want to say this. When I think about people who are going through different things, and you say, wow, I wish it was something that I can do for them or give them, what can I do? And sometimes we don't even have the words to speak to their situation. This book, you could send this book to someone with a note to say, I'm thinking about you. And it is my prayer that there's something, a story inside of here that will help you through your healing process. You don't even have to say a lot. Just give them this book with just a little love note. And I promise you, it probably will land specifically exactly what they need. When I said earlier, this is medicine, they say if I could just bottle it up and give it to someone, that's what we've been able to do. We've been able to bottle it up, and we can now hand that off.
Oh, Marty, that is so well said. The other thing I would like to share that I learned in this book and the process of working with all these wonderful, fantastic authors is how healing it can be simply to write your story. And when we pulled together as 23 authors in one room, I asked the authors to raise their hand if they felt the writing of their story was therapeutic. And they almost all raised their hand and said yes. And one woman said, I speak about the tragedy of losing my daughter to suicide because she was bullied at 13. I can speak about it because I have a nonprofit now, but writing it was so difficult. And it's a difficult journey. And part of you is like, oh, I can't share that. but the sharing of it releases it. And reading other people's stories makes you know that we all are carrying something, and that something needs to be released. And Marty's whole work is about releasing trauma. And this is just another tool, medicine in a book, as she says, I love that, to release trauma.
Thank you, Rebecca. Now you see why I love her so much.
Absolutely. Listening to both of you talk, I can see how cathartic the writing process has been for you and the women who've taken this journey with you. And you're right. When you're talking with the others, you're in a collective. But when you're writing, you go inside of you and you pull what's inside of you out. So you're truly drawing it out. So the catharsis is actually the part that is healing. And I absolutely love how you have very mindfully threaded this. And it's a reminder to all the women and men out there, when you're going through something, right? That is why journaling is helpful. That's why keeping notes and writing down what you're feeling is important. And you bring up this important wisdom that write down and memorialize and give it power to heal you. As it's funny how time flies when we're having these wonderful discussions. But I want each of you to take a moment and share how our audience can get a hold of you and your book, and what nugget of wisdom you want to leave us with, so that it's going to ruminate in people's minds throughout the day and remind them to go buy the book.
Go ahead,
Well,
Rebecca.
all right. My email is Rebecca@voicesofamericanherstory.com. And you can get our book, In Her Power, In Her Wisdom, either on that ginormous bookseller, Amazon, or you can go to Barnes & Noble or your independent bookstore, and we are available. If they don't have it on the shelf, they can order it, because we are with Ingram Spark, which is the distributor for all bookstores. So we hope you get our book and share In Her Power, In Her Wisdom.
Wow. Well, I am Dr. Marty K. Casey. You can reach me at Dr. period MARTYK period CASEY@gmail.com. I am on all of social media handles. You can find me, Marty K. Casey. I'm on Instagram, LinkedIn, you name it. We're everywhere. Linktree, you can find us. Just put in our names. And Rebecca actually already shared how to get the book. And I would say the nugget that I would like to leave with everyone is support. Support. If we show up and we support one another, we will all be successful. We will all be able to walk in our power and in our purpose. And so for me, support is the best thing that we can gift and give anyone, including ourselves. Support yourself. Sometimes you have to be the first one to invest in yourself. And that is when you empower yourself to say, I am going to tell my story. My story is worth hearing. My story can help someone. We hope that we have inspired you to do the same.
That is absolutely beautiful. We have been thrilled to have each of you on our program today, and we especially love what you represent, this coming together of what appears to be very diverse, but yet there is so much in common. And that story, that notion of unity within diversity and hearing people's perspectives, learning from everyone, and that just as trauma is transferable, healing is transferable, and this beautiful message that you're bringing to the world, that all of us joining together, and especially as women, as diverse women joining together, can bring healing to our world. Thank you so much.